live.
Hello and welcome to our actual play of Curse of Strahd as presented by For the Love of Crits. I'm level 1 Dungeon Master Hunter AU, and thank you again for joining us as we follow our lost clerics of Barovia deeper into the mist. Curse of Strahd, created by Wizards of the Coast, is known for its dark themes and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised due to adult language and themes. We ask that you keep the chat civil, void spoilers for this Wizards of the Coast adventure as well as any others. We are going to be joining our cluster of clerics right where they left off, and please, for the love of crits, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. When we last left our lost clerics of Barovia, they had just finished clearing out the entirety of the Wizard of Wine's winery. They were on the end of their victory, having found one final group of forest folk and lights in the basement. They were able to dispatch it very quickly. They made sure that everything was clear, walked around the property, and then met with the Martikov family, who very quickly started to make themselves back at home, taking you to the upstairs room of the home. And I'm actually going to move all of us up to there really quick. It's going to be tight, though.
Uh-oh.
There we go. If I can. Let me lock this in place. There we go. Okay. There we go. And I'm not going to bother moving all the tokens here because it is way too many tokens for such a small area. But at least you guys will be in the area that everyone has gathered. Now, when we had been at the end of the last session, the Martikov family had been
Have you moved this yet?
joyously. Yeah, I did.
I'm on the wrong board, I guess. I don't know.
I am still waiting on GM.
Waiting on,
Yeah, I
waiting
jumped
on
over
the,
myself. You hadn't pulled us yet.
Oh, I realized. There we go. Sorry about that. I summoned you guys over. Okay, I noticed that some of you were in, but yeah, I hadn't hit the button to force you guys over.
Yeah, it's a little tight. Just a little.
You couldn't fit Lancelot in there, not that you need to, but that's a story for another time. Anyways, so the Martikov family were very joyously celebrating. Laughter and clinking glasses filled the cozy confines of the Wizard of Wines. The clerics having just secured a hard-fought victory, reclaiming the winery from the clutches of darkness. Onyx, amidst the jubilation, you see Stefania. Her eyes sparkled with hope and fierce determination you have not seen in Barovians. She is watching her children join the party tricks that Herbert is presenting. But then, like a sudden chill in the warm summer air, Dag and Gladu entered the hall, their expressions grave. The third gem, they took the last one. The jovial atmosphere turned somber as they delivered the seemingly devastating news. Stefania, refusing to accept the truth, whispers, "No," her voice barely audible over the murmurs of disbelief. "It can't be true. The gem, it must be here somewhere. Perhaps a mistake, a misunderstanding." She quickly sets down her child and begins frantically searching through the drawers of the nearest cabinet. Davian Martikov, who had just walked in from the other room and was leaning against the wall, his hands clench into fist as the weight of Dag's world settle upon him. You see anger, raw and primal, flash in his eyes. In his anger, he says, "Do you have straw for brains? Why speak of this in front of outsiders? He says this as he strides towards Dag, who flinches but stands his ground. Davian's hand arcs through the air and the slap resounds, a crack that silences the room. Davian hisses, "We trusted you, and now our legacy is shattered." Clodu, standing next to his father, drops the chest he was holding in shock. Alver, sitting next to Herbert, looks pleadingly around the room. Looking at anyone that would listen, Herbert, you hear him say, in a soft voice barely audible above the din, "Surely the forest folk, they've always had a fondness for a wine. Perhaps we could offer them a trade, a bargain, the gem for barrels of our finest vintage." At the head of the table sits Adrian, withdrawing into himself. His shoulders slump, and he stares at the empty fireplace. The flames that once danced there seem extinguished, mirroring his spirit. His wine glass remains untouched. His siblings chatter, their voices a distant hum, but Adrian's gaze remains fixed on the floor, seemingly lost in memory. Finally, Adrian lifts his head. His eyes meet his father's, and he whispers, "Enough." The room falls silent. Adrian's voice, though quiet, carries weight. The acceptance of what cannot be changed. "My friends," he said, and he looks at the party of clerics, "may we speak privately? We must decide our next move as a family." As our four clerics gather themselves up and leave the room, you see Adrian's fingers brush the empty chest that Clodu dropped, and he seems to draw strength from its absence. As you're closing the door, you hear Adrian say to the rest of the family, "The Martikovs may grieve, but they will not falter." You are sitting out in the main area of the room, unable to hear what is happening in the dining room of the Martikov family. Is there any discussion that takes place before they come out? There is at least a 5 to 10 minute conversation that they have before they come back out.
Something mysterious about the way the props grew, I suppose. There were sort of 3 different stages that these grape fields seemed to be in. Like, one was utterly desiccated, another was partially desiccated, and one of them was just starting to die.
Maybe.
Seems like pretty much everything else we've found in Barovia. There's more here than you would initially suspect.
Yes. I suppose even after saving their homestead, they wouldn't trust us with this information. It's quite curious.
Simply because we saved it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to instantly open up all their secrets to us. That's understandable.
But perhaps we could help?
Possible. We'll see what they have to say when they come back. But
So?
As you are sitting there, unless someone else has something to say and I'm not cutting you off, the door opens. You hear Adrian's voice. He says, "Please come back in. Thank you for your patience." His voice is steady. As you return to the room, you see that the children have been put away to bed, all except for Clodu. He is standing next to his father, Dag, who is arguing with Davian. Dag says to Davian, he's like, he is of age. He should be allowed to be a part of the meeting. It is time that he should know. Davian, though calmer than he was, is still quite angry. And he said, "Fool," he's like, we're already going to be introducing 4 outsiders. There's no need to introduce someone so young. Dag is indignant. He is getting fired up, and he's like, how dare you compare my son to one of these outsiders? Yes, they are potential allies, but my son is family. For him to be put in a different tier, that's unacceptable. As these two are arguing, Adrian walks back into the room, and he looks between the two, and then stares at his father, Davian. He says, Dag is correct. I was younger than Claude is now when I first heard the story of the 3 ladies. It is time that he becomes more aware of our place in this valley. Come, sit. And he motions for everyone. Sit. Adrian, though he is the eldest son, his father accepts his reasoning and calms down and does not object to Claude staying. The group of people around the table have expressions that are a mixture of determination and concern. Adrian stands at the head of the table, his gaze meeting the eyes of all the clerics with solemn intensity. As I said, thank you for your patience. Though we normally keep this within our family, we've decided it's best that you be included with the increased dangers that have presented, and also how you have presented yourselves, not only here at the Wizard of Wines, but also within Vallaki, Barovia, and the Durst Manor, from what we have heard through our networks. What you have heard is true. The gem, a sacred artifact has passed down through generations, was taken from us. Do you say that out loud? I'm guessing, was that Onyx that said that?
Yes.
He's like, yes, precisely. And it is the way that you helped us clear this winery and were respectful of our land, not destroying the winery, is why we trust you. But this trust does not come lightly. I want to let you know that before we tell you what is happening here, that if you betray us, if you reveal any of our secrets to him, you will be our enemy.
Well, we certainly see him as an enemy ourselves, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Secrets are not something to be shared lightly.
Adrian nods his approval, as do the rest of the group around the table. What were you saying, Graves?
Saying secrets are not something to be shared lightly. Secret is a act of sorts.
It took us time to deliberate. Many other adventurers have passed through here in the past. Very few have we revealed this story, and only now in our dire need are we telling you now. Stefania stands up next to him. She nods in agreement. We have been gathering information to use against him, she explained, her tone measured. Our family has a history of resistance against his tyranny, though we operate discreetly. Adrian interjects in front of his sister. This is a story, one that is best told by my father. And he kind of gestures his hand toward Davian. Davian, still simmering with anger, crosses his arms over his chest. "We do what we must to protect our home and our people," he declared, his voice tight with emotion. The gems were gifts from the Ladies Three to our ancestors." His gaze flickers upwards, almost as in reverence. "Their memory is respected in our family, though some may dismiss them as mere fairy tales," and he gives a furtive glance towards his daughter, Stefania, and she rolls her eyes as he does so. Adrian nods in agreement. "Indeed, we have always honored their legacy, even as others have forgotten." Davian sits there, and he looks at Clodagh, his grandson, and he says, "Now no, this is not a tale of its tyrant ruler, but of the true powers that once graced this land, the Ladies Three. In the time before the curse that now blankets our land, there were three sisters, the daughters of the land itself. They were called the Fanes of Barovia, the Ladies Three. Each held dominion over part of our land, and was revered and loved by the people. The eldest, the weaver of the swamp vein, her magic so potent that she could make a barren field appear as a lush forest. The middle sister, the huntress from the mountain vein, had the power to manipulate emotions. Her words could soothe the most troubled heart or incite the fiercest anger. The youngest, the seeker of the forest vein, her visions guided our people. Her prophecies held the truth of what was to come. They lived in harmony with the people, guiding them, protecting them." And then Davian's face darkens, and he gives the look as if he's just seen someone throw a child off of a cliff, as if he's seen evil incarnate in front of him. But then he came. Drawn to their power, he sought to control them. But the sisters, guided by Stella's visions, managed to evade his grasp. They used their powers to aid the people of Barovia, providing them with hope in the face of his tyranny. The Weaver's illusions hid them from Strahd's minions, the Huntress's words soothed their fears, and the Seeker's visions guided them to safety. But they knew they could not hide forever. They began to devise the plan to rid Barovia of his curse once and for all. But they knew the cost would be great, and the path to victory would be fraught with danger. The people worshipped them, and he was jealous of their adoration. He displaced them, desecrated their shrines. But the ladies knew that they needed to have something in place, something hidden that not even he knew about. So they created 3 gems. Gems that we kept here, hidden away. It carried to carry on their power and protect against him. It made the ground fertile, even as the blights came in droves, sucking the life's blood out of the ground. The nutrients that we needed for the grapes to grow, it didn't matter, as long as the gems were in the ground. The grapes would thrive. We provided the wine, the blood of the people, to keep the hope alive in Barovia, until the Fanes can return, or he can be destroyed. Davian takes a long draught of wine as he's saying this, And he slams down his cup. He's like, and now they're gone.
Do you know
It's-
exactly what happened to them?
Adrian kind of reaches in here because it doesn't feel like Davian is able to gain his composure. He is shaking from either rage or despair. It is difficult to say. Adrian leans forward. He's like, well, we know what happened to two of them. The first one was lost to us 10 years ago. We don't know exactly what happened, but somehow, and he gets cut off by Davian, who has gotten over his silence in this moment, is, I'll tell you what happened. Your useless brother happened. Erwin can go... he can go drink himself to death in that tavern for all I care. Adrian composes himself, and he's like, Erwin was supposed to be on watch that night. He claims he didn't shirk his duties, but we have no other way to know. Regardless, when he was on duty, somehow the third gem disappeared. Or I should say the first gem. It was the one that we used to grow our grapes for the Champagne de la Stampe. It's one of our most prized vintages, and we have not been able to make it for 10 years. We had made quite a bit of it, and it gets better with time. So we do have some very seldom bottles that we save, but in the past, this was something that was provided to him to keep him from exploring the vineyard more closely. The second one. Oh, yes.
Sorry, can you check a message I sent you on Discord?
Oh, gosh. Oh. Okay, hold on one moment.
Excuse me.
Various gems. Ladies.
Okay. Were you just saying that I had to check my DM?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted let me check. As he said there, he's like, the second gem that we lost occurred 3 weeks ago. It was stolen from us by scarecrows.
Sorry, scarecrows?
Adrian kind of has an exasperated look on his face as he just nods his head. It's like, yes, scarecrows.
Alright, yeah.
We've seen
Yeah.
much weirder since we arrived here on a nearly daily
Well,
basis.
I didn't actually see them. Elver did, but I do trust what he said is true. I don't know the exact magic behind it. At that time, we weren't being as oppressed by the blights, so we were able to follow their trail, but it looks like it went to Berez. And we did not dare venture any further, for that is a cursed place. And very, very dangerous.
Wasn't that group of needle blights that we watched in the woods headed in that direction?
Sounds familiar.
It's very possible. There are multiple paths that lead to Berez.
What is Berez? I don't believe we've really heard much about it before.
Adrian looks at his father. And once again, Davian's face gets very dark as he kind of recounts, and he's like, Berez was an old city. Perhaps a bit smaller than Valaki, maybe about the size of Kresk. Ages ago, before even my grandfather's time, somehow they angered him somehow. He used his powers and destroyed the town. Flooded it with water. So many lives lost.
Is it still flooded?
I don't know. No one goes there. It's
Fair
too
enough.
dangerous with her watching over it.
Her? Who's she?
The witch.
The witch.
Yes. She's known by many names. To my knowledge, she is the only ones that are older than her are him and Madame Eva, the Vistani sage.
Right.
He has a vile blood and blackened soul. They call her Baba Lysaga. At least that's what the Vistani call her. Her curses make the Vistani curses seem weak. It is our suspicion that the scarecrows were her doing, and she took the second gem to her domain in Berez. What she's doing with it, we do not know. But it is that point that we had to stop growing the grapes for Dragon Crush, our second vintage. And we were limited to one. The second one disappeared 3 weeks ago. We were driven from the winery. Was it 2 days ago or 3 days ago? Adrian nods. He's like, it was 3 days ago that we were driven from the winery. At some point, either during the assault or when we were driven out, the druid stole the third gem.
Blights were hidden throughout the fields.
Yes, we've dealt with blights for years. They commonly come in droves, never in this number though. We've always been able to drive them off. They caught us off guard. They came much earlier this year than normal. We didn't have any weapons or anything to fight them off. And they quickly separated us. But then we received word from Erwin that there were rumors that you might be heading out this way. So we decided to wait. As with the children, we were in no condition to be able to lay an assault, and we had no idea what powers the druids had. Sorry, I
Certain-
misspoke there. The forest folk. They do not call them druids.
Certainly was a wise decision. We managed to drive them off ourselves, but it was not an easy fight.
I mean, the only way we were able to succeed was destroying the critical artifact that they were using to control all those needle blights. I mean,
Adrian looks up. He's like, artifact?
Staff.
oh yes, yeah. There's
Once
This was what the leader of the forest folk was carrying.
yes.
Konarth broke it, and all of the remaining lights under that one's control with it. There were still others afterwards in the basement under control of another forest folk, but there was less.
This is strange wood.
Yes. Odd material. Have you ever seen it before?
I have not, but I anticipate that wherever they took the gem, wherever this wood is from, is a clue to where it is, and we will put out our own contacts to see if we can figure it out. If we do, we will certainly contact you to let you know.
Didn't you
For I
just say
anticipate
that the witch has the black blood or something? That was very much kind of what poured out of the staff.
Could
my
be
father, I
connected.
think, was being hyperbolic. She has black blood. A curse in this world and someone that is allied with him. Black blood means that he will not drink it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
There still could be a connection with the needle blights coming and going
There
to there
very
as well,
well
but it
could
would
be.
necessitate.
From what I know of Berez, there is not very many trees that grow there anymore. Perhaps willows, but nothing like this.
You'd said
Possible connection, but unlikely.
the first gem, you tracked which direction those blights had headed. You said they were headed towards Berez?
We traveled to the edge of the swamp of Berez, and that's where we were unable to follow the tracks further. As far as the ones that just was stolen, we do not know exactly where they came from. But I do know that the blights themselves, to our knowledge, is solely used by the forest folk as a means of attack. And they do not ally themselves with him or her.
Hmm.
We have generally then two
So-
possible culprits, etc. Witch in Berez, forest folk. And the third gem, we do not know where it has ended up.
Nope. Davian says this with a very glower expression on his face.
These gems are essentially vital to the people of Barovia's survival in a matter of speaking.
Yes, extremely vital. We do not exaggerate when we say that the wine is the lifeblood of Barovia. We have been putting out quite a bit of knowledge that there has been trouble at the winery. We've been trying to spread the word without it drawing the attention of him. You've likely heard quite a bit about the winery and its woes.
Oh yes.
The thing is with how much people desire the wine of the winery, it is not difficult for us to manipulate them to get help if we need to.
Of course. It's something that the people very much desire, so they would be willing to.
Now, we do have stores here. We'll have to make sure that they were all sealed okay while the forest folk had unhindered access to them for the past 4 or 5 days, but we need to get the supply back up and running.
Mhm.
But until we know exactly where they went, I don't think that we'll be able to do much.
What would be the consequences if the wine stopped flowing? Of course, Gonareth asks this of his companions, not of anyone in the room.
Grace would like look over to KNF and be like,
Um,
kind of much like, did you want us to ask that, or are you just asking us?
Yeah, he'd be. I think that he'd be kind of implying he wants someone to ask. They say that it's the
Silver.
lifeblood of Barovia, but that seems overly vague to me.
What sort of consequences would we see if the wine were to entirely stop flowing, which seems, without the gems, inevitable?
At this point, Stefania actually jumps in, to kind of speak. She's like, it would be twofold. There is a social aspect, but there is also a health aspect as well. Many of the sources of water have not been able to be well kept. Many people would likely get sick from the tainted water wells. In addition, the gems themselves provide a large amount of nutrients that aren't available in other parts of the valley. Over the years and the lack of sunlight, it has depleted much of the land, and the wine provides those essential nutrients that they don't get elsewhere.
Hmm.
The second aspect would be social. Because water is not easy to drink, we would be removing the only source of alcohol within the valley.
Hmm.
And people get belligerent when they do not get their drink.
Some people get belligerent when they drink, so
It's true.
You're far
But-
more likely to be troublesome if you're reliant on drink and then do not have it.
Yes. That's fair.
I'll have to take your word for that.
In addition,
That's also fair.
as my brother has said, we have been gathering quite a bit of knowledge to fight him and his tyranny. We have a large network. It would be unwise for him to be allowed or given a reason to search here further. And the long-term loss of wine would be a reason for him to reach out, as he often
course.
uses it as a tool to manipulate the people.
That is especially fair.
Am I getting the sense that they are purposefully avoiding using his name?
If you got that sense, yes, Herbert would be
Oh, yeah.
getting that sense.
Yeah, Gray's very much got that quick too, and he's like,
yeah. It's like, just out of curiosity, you don't seem to like to use his name. Is there any particular reason for that, or you just hate the guy a lot?
Everyone else looks at you kind of in disbelief. And Adrian's like, has no one told you of the taboo?
Taboo? I don't think anyone's even felt any sort of taboo about saying
I've
his
heard
name.
of tabbouleh.
In
It's like a
Indie-
rice dish.
This is not
Not that.
common knowledge, but anyone that is going to place themselves as an adversary to him should know this. In the event that anyone uses his name in any sense of the word, know that you should be careful of what you say for the next amount of time. I'd say probably at least 10 to 15 minutes, though we are not entirely sure.
It allows him to essentially divine
is
what
said-
you are saying,
Like-
where you are, something along
It
those
is said
lines.
that he is the ancient and he is the land. Many times he has kept this facade of being omniscient. And we have discovered over the years that it is directly tied to the use of his name. That when his name is spoken, he knows of what is said and spoken of in that place for a time. We don't know the magic of this or the source, but it is imperative that you know that if we are telling you our secrets.
Well, I'm glad I have been quiet until I realized this.
That certainly explains a lot as well.
Yes.
Have you spoken his name unknowingly and provided information to him?
I mean, we've said his name a lot. I can't even
I think-
recall what we said around it, but
I think primarily, I suspect, would be while we were traveling to Valaki. But he was also actively following us from a distance, watching us at that point.
Have you met him?
yes,
Yes.
yes. Unfortunately, it was awful.
You hear a scramble around the table as seemingly out of nowhere, they all suddenly have wooden stakes in their hands.
Trust me, I already.
He's like, were any of you bitten?
Trust me, I, as a priest of Pharasma, I was already very concerned about that. We are fine.
Were any of you bitten?
Yes. I mean, I want to be honest with these folks, so yes,
Well,
I
have already done the necessary precautions. If you wish, you can stake me to be sure. I understand the fear of beings like him.
I mean, a stake isn't a I'm not sure if I know how much I know about that.
I don't think we know that.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I haven't.
I even have a
Had
stake
any-
here, and I'll pull my own stake out.
We
It would help
also
you.
have magic that can repel undead, and none of us are affected by it.
did any of you die after being bitten?
No.
And come back?
Wait, that is that
You
a
were not
normal
bitten,
thing that
Onyx.
happens?
I was bitten.
I was killed right after.
From the bite?
No, none of us died from the bite.
Almost, but no.
Bubba was killed by
a wolf.
wolves.
A wolf
Onyx
killed
was
me.
killed by a blight just down the hallway.
I was killed today.
Oh, yes. Congratulations. For his death. Herbert said with like a twitch in his eye. It's like, this is fine.
They do lower their stakes after Adrian lowers his. He's like, we are sorry. You had to be certain.
Well, it's
If you did
understandable.
not die from the bite, to our knowledge, that means you are okay.
That is what I seem to have observed as well. My priesthood that I am a part of, it seems that it is not common or even present at all really here in Barovia. Rasma, the Lady of Death, bringing the destruction of undead, a very prominent part of our ethics and beliefs, as the undead, such as vampires, like he is, are one of the worst abominations in our sight. We study ways to combat them very quickly.
Well, I don't think this would have killed you anyway. Just kept you in place until we knew what to do.
I'm already very injured myself, so it's very well could. Listen, he's probably still like covered in dried blood and stuff.
It would kill us, because we're normal.
That's
I mean,
true. I guess it would
if you
work
had
either
a
way.
stake through your heart, I suppose you'd probably die from it.
But yes, there are many things that we've learned throughout the years to kind of help. Some at great cost to learn. Um,
Well, I would be anxious to learn anything you have learned as well. I mean, if we're going to be dealing with these sort of threats in the future, we should be armed with knowledge.
what type of knowledge are you looking for?
How do you typically deal with someone who's been bitten, other than stake them?
If you run into someone that has been bitten, as long as it's soon enough and they don't die, you must keep them from dying. Once they are dead and rise again, to my knowledge, there is no way for us to heal. The abbot may be able to do something, but
Which is what
usually
we,
that's best to just destroy the creature that is created. For those that you loved are now gone.
This is what we've heard from others as well.
What sort of time frame are we talking about? Soon enough. How late is too late?
Once they die. We've very seldom had situations that we've been able to test this, so we do not know clearly.
So,
We've heard rumors that there is a renowned vampire hunter in the area. We've been hoping to speak to him so we can exchange notes. Perhaps learn more from him. If you have any knowledge of him, we would greatly appreciate it.
this is Van Richten?
Dr.
Man?
Van Richten.
We have
Yes.
heard of him.
Heard tales of him, yes.
Yes,
Yet
his
to-
books are extremely difficult to come by as well, as he destroys most of them. Come in as they have quite a bit of information on how to deal with him as an enemy.
I know we at least met someone with a copy of one of his books. I don't know if we actually got our hands on it.
You've met someone with a copy of one of his books?
Yes, what's his name? The fellow in Volaki.
I could not remember his name.
The librarian?
He's a young
No.
man.
Yes, he.
Yanovich?
That sounds
He's the
possible.
bookkeeper.
I don't think he was a bookkeeper, but he.
Oh, the accountant.
Yes, he was an accountant. I remember that.
Yes, he
what's
frequented the
his name?
library. We had dinner with him and the Baron.
Yesik? No.
No. Yesik and Sons is the
Vasil.
bookstore.
Vasily.
Yeah, Vasily
Vasily.
von Holtz.
That guy.
Yes, Vasily von Holtz. Yes, his family have been bookkeepers, previously tax collectors, for both the city, pretty much all of the cities they've traveled among, but they were mostly based in Valaki. It would make sense that he would have something. Being tax collectors, they were very seldom held under the scrutiny of him, as they collected the taxes to provide to him.
Nicely.
Let's see. Well, I suppose that's one possible place for information. We'll have to check
Perhaps.
it later.
So, if we had to
Yes.
try to find items. Currently, our best bets in general are to look into Berez, although we know that is a very dark and dangerous place, and to find where the forest folk took third gem, possibly where this wood from this staff has come from, might be a due to that as well. Those are our two best leads at the moment, it seems.
I will say, based on what we know of Berez, and we have seen quite a few adventurers come and go. Mostly go. I would recommend being very prepared before you enter Berez.
Precisely.
Prepared
It seems
how?
as though
I think you'll need all of your strength. Baba Lasaga's power is second only to him.
it is one that we might be more served gathering our own strength, magic, items that can help allies and such before we go there.
I mean, we do at least know how to deal with the forest folk to some extent.
Definitely.
Perhaps that would be
We
a
don't-
better place to start.
Yes. We don't know where quite yet, but we know who and what.
Yes.
And they seem all dangerous, not to the same extent as Baba the Lasag.
Lysaga.
Okay. So I was trying
Well-
to find where they went. Might
If
be
if
better
you
bet.
are willing, we would ask that one of our wagons, as we deliver, if you could guard it. We don't have enough people to guard all of them, but we have enough to guard one. If you can guard the other, when we take it to Valaki or Kresk. Do you have a preference which one your party goes to?
We were already planning to go to Kresk, but also there is things that we could still do in Valaki. Of course, we could go to Kresk and then Roger's wagon there and back, and then return to Valaki afterwards. That's just my opinion, of course.
Yes. I would like to, if possible, give you a barrel or two of wine as thanks for everything you've done for our family, as well as another gift. One that a previous adventuring party unfortunately lost when you're here. I think it may serve you well. And he pulls. He goes into the other room. There we go. He goes into the other room and comes back with a small bag.
Bag of holding!
He's like, this will help you be able to transport the barrels a bit easier for your own use. We'll send a cart for the larger ones, but then you can carry the barrels with you more easily.
Ooh,
We don't have much use for it, but if you could use it, they called it a bag of holding.
oh, it is what I thought it was. Fascinating. I've been musing over in my head over some designs similar to this.
Don't all bags hold things?
Oh,
Not
yes.
like this one.
Is it like extra sturdy?
Yes. Watch this.
More pockets?
Do you mind if I show him? I think I know what.
Be
exactly
my
what-
guest. Be my guest, but beware the bagman.
The bagman. Oh yes, what are those?
It's
Onyx climbs in since he
We-
doesn't have to breathe.
I was just
What?
gonna like pull out my sledgehammer and just like
Drop it.
deposit it into the bag. It just disappears. I'm just like, ooh, yes. It's bigger on
What?
the inside.
I presume magic, just not the
What?
magic that I know how to use.
Yes, it's just a small fold in reality.
I
Just
don't
make
know. Only a small fold in reality. No big deal.
you can't maintain these things, in large quantities, so they're very limited in space. But it's it's obviously much greater than what's obviously
Yeah.
physically
Limited in space as you drop a sledgehammer vertically into something the size of my head. And it just drops in.
my estimations would put it at somewhere around 500 pounds that it could hold, or there's some sort of cubic measurements. I could probably work it out, but
Either way, that seems a lot more useful than when I first saw it. It was like a bag.
But that is all I was told by the adventurer that gave this to us, was beware the bagman. I don't know exactly what it means.
Have I heard that lore before? Can I
Roll me a history
roll
check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna roll some dice.
In Dungeons and Dragons, rolling
What?
dice. What?
What? Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
24 total.
You would have heard this is a tale that would have been told in the yawning portal of Waterdeep. You would have heard tell of an urban legend of an adventurer who sought to escape doom by abandoning his party and hiding inside a bag of holding. When he tried to leave, though, he became lost in the ever-increasing number of extra-dimensional storage spaces. Over time, the strange forces of this magical in-between place transformed the adventurer into a monstrous creature. If he doesn't find his home, he drags someone back into the bag with him and leaves behind some trinket from his hidden kingdom of lost junk. Some say that if you speak too loudly over an open bag of holding or whisper, "Follow my voice" into a magical storage space 3 times, the bagman will come for you. Any character may know the story of the bagman, what the bagman is, and how this urban legend is up to you.
Time to see
there
if
are
has
some
its stats
adventures
ready.
that if there is truly a bagman, you've heard multiple tales from multiple different adventures talk about objects vanishing overnight, as if someone finds something that, or if someone finds something that isn't normally in their bag of holding, and they blame the bagman.
Time to see if Rito has the bagman stats ready. Follow my voice.
All right. Well,
I push him in.
Keep an eye out.
All right.
Hello.
That he's like,
Been in a circle 3 times in the middle of the bathroom with water on the mirror and scream Bloody Mary.
I'm guessing you would voice this tale since you knew it.
Yes.
Adrian, upon hearing that, he's like, well, I definitely do not wish to keep that here if that is the case. We have enough curses to be getting along with without a bagman being a possibility.
I think we should be able to handle it. We usually have some eyes on us at all times, so I suspect if he does show up, if he is real, in the first place, we should be able to handle him. I think we could take him.
I've taken quite a lot of monsters at
Never
this
seen
point.
again.
Yeah. Probably just disappears.
Oh.
And a slightly different looking Herbert returns and he's just like, "Hello, friends. How are you? I am Herbert.
Your romance partner.
Your romance partner. You have been a bad friend."
It is me, Herbert Frightforge.
Adrian back, he's like, so if you'd like, we have a few small barrels in the cellar that likely could fit within there. Probably could let you take 3 or 4 pretty easily. I'm not sure if you need to put anything else in there, but
Yes,
it
well,
likely would be.
I mean, we'd like to get our hands on some, certainly, and we definitely appreciate the gift.
Please, we would not have access to it at all if it was not for you 4.
I like.
We are in your debt.
Elbow Herbert, didn't you want some of the mold down there or something?
Oh yes. Do you mind if I take a sample of that brown mold down there in your cellar?
A few people kind of look kind of panicky at first, And Adrian's like, did the forest folk mess with it?
I don't think they could get in. No.
No, we found it thinking it might be some danger and then realized that that's what it was.
I'm sorry, you have been great friends to us, but it is too dangerous of a thing to mess with.
Very
One
well.
of our was it our great-great-grandfather? He attempted to make a second cellar and died. It expanded very quickly, and it took quite a while for us to get it back under control. And it's a very dangerous entity and can spread very quickly.
Yes, my purely academic knowledge tells me that if we did have some sort of access to frost, I believe we could combat it. Some sort of magic, but I unfortunately do not possess such capabilities at the moment.
If you know of a
Either.
way to take it safely, I would allow you to, but we'd like to get the winery stabilized before we do so.
Oh, certainly,
Yes.
certainly. Perhaps I could swing by through at some other point when I've discerned some sort of trick to do it. There's certain steps that I could take to make it safe right now, potentially, such as accessing it from a distance without putting myself in harm's way. But I don't have any sort of cold magic easily available to me, so unfortunate.
That's understandable. Unfortunately, we do not have any magical capabilities for spell casting.
Yes, of course. Well, you know, not many people do.
Now you guys, there is. Bear with me here. Okay. I am double checking. You guys were offered a reward, and the bag of holding is part of that, but not all of it. So I'm double checking what.
That's
Who
easy. A
wants
+3 weapon with smite.
Who wants to hold the bag of holding? I mean, Herbert can take it if you guys are cool with that.
Herbert
I think
knows about it.
He does know about it, so. And it's a possible artificer infusion, which is why he was like, I've been theorizing about this thing.
Makes most sense to me. It's yours.
He's our like a crafter and stuff like that, so it makes sense that he has a thing that can carry the tools and materials and such.
Yeah, it makes sense.
What would happen if I did climb in
In the bag of holding?
I think he'd just be chilling. I guess it depends on DM interpretation, I think. Because some people consider that it's an actual physical bag space that just takes up less space dimensionally, sort of like, so like the items you put in it sort of shrink. But like other people sort of think that it's just a pocket of the astral plane.
I've always kind of felt like it was more of a pocket dimension.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Kind of like the
canon.
TARDIS or like Hermione's bag
Yeah.
in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like that's how I've always kind of pictured it in my head. I guess I never really gave it too much thought.
Because it does say like you have to use an action and think of the thing that you want to take out of it, and you just take it out. So that makes sense that it would be like an extra dimensional space. So like it looks empty when you look in, but it's got a bunch of stuff in it already. Because it's basically like a black hole that just puts stuff into.
Yeah.
If it's a bag of devouring, then it's an actual black hole.
And you put it over people's heads.
Yeah.
Or if it's regular bag of holding, you just flip it inside out after filling it with oil and holding up a torch.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I had a player do that one time.
Wow.
Did they
Does-
burn their bag of holding?
Doesn't flipping it
Magical items
inside
are
out
usually-
cause like
Causes
All the
everything
contents.
out.
Yeah, it basically brings all the contents spewing out of it. If it's filled to the brim of oil and you shoot it through a bunch of fire,
Yep.
it was a silly level 21 shot, but I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's awesome.
Nice.
Why not?
Okay.
Or make a grenade by throwing one inside the other into the astral plane, you know? Throw it at a Bandersnatch and warp the Bandersnatch to the astral plane. That happened in the next room.
Okay.
So what you do is you create a miniature portable hole at the end of a tip of the arrow, and then a miniature bag of holding that goes inside of a canister that once it hits something, the mini bag of holding goes inside the mini portable hole and causes a mini nuke.
Exactly.
Or just a mini cavitation in reality that goes to the astral plane, essentially.
you fall 20 feet, falling on your butt, the arrows in your quiver shake. All of a sudden, your bag just boom.
So
And you're just, yeah, ahead.
so as you are sitting there, so I will just kind of I realized why I wasn't able to find it. Rules as written, they don't tell you what you're supposed to give the players.
Oh,
For
Yeah.
this, there is a chest that has stuff that you can loot, so it's kind of up to DM's discretion what they gave you, and that's one of the reasons I chose the bag of holding, because it is useful. But the other thing that I am going to provide is
Scroll of Wish.
Adrian. No. Adrian is going to grab a scroll of parchment, and he's going to write some information on this on here, and then you see he goes into the other room and comes back with it wax sealed. And he's going to hold it out to the party. Whoever grabs it, grabs it. As he's like, you're going to need whatever help that you can get as you are traveling throughout the Barovia.
okay.
With that being said, we do have a standing order with the blacksmith within Valaki. 2 silver weapons for us.
Oh, excellent.
We would allow you to silver 2 weapons. I have written as such on here, and with my seal, he will do that. We provide him with the materials needed to silver them. This should be able to help you on there and let you be able to go through. As I'm sure you've realized, silver is a difficult material to come by.
Yes. I believe we've silvered, of the 4 of us, we've silvered 2 of our 4 as primary weapons. So silvering 2 more means that all of us can have a silver weapon.
Well, perfect. I'm glad we could be of assistance. That being said, do you have any other burning questions for the Martikovs?
Not as of yet.
Unless
How-
what I suspect you would have already said, if there was someone you know of that could help us find where the wood from this forest person half came from. But I suspect you would have already shared that information if you had it.
Yes.
thought of-
As I said, we will be putting our tendrils out through our networks to see
Perfect.
if anyone has seen wood of this type.
We can also ourselves make inquiries wherever we end up possibly crest, but I guess we'll I'd after this for sure.
Where did you keep the gems?
One was kept in the basement. There is a hidden alcove on the eastern side. The other two had to be closer to the actual gems themselves, but mostly they were buried under the ground.
Is it the one in the house that was stolen this
That
time?
was the final one. Up until this point, they've never been able to enter the home.
We did encounter multiple of the forest folk down there, but we did
Still,
kill all the ones that were down there. So I suspect they'd probably taken it before we arrived. To be my guess.
we are still at a loss for how they would have known of the gems in the first place. As we said, we've not told anyone outside our family. You are the first.
How did you keep track of them outside when you buried them? You marked them?
While they were underneath the grapes, they kept the ground nutritious, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it.
Well, I get that, but if I went out there right now, there's a lot of grape fields. How would you know where it's buried?
The same way that we know what particular...
Where it's buried.
I guess I failed to see your question. We know our fields just the same as I could guide my way all the way to the cellar with my eyes closed. We've lived here for our entire lives.
So there's no visible indicator that tells you where it is. You
Right.
just know that it's in that spot. It doesn't
Correct.
look any different than any other spot, typically.
Correct. It is usually within fairly close to the vine itself. The last gem, the green one, it did not need to be as close as it was one of the first lady's gems and was much more attuned to just general lushness.
Leading up to them being stolen, do you find holes that maybe you thought were gopher holes? Or people were trying to locate it beforehand?
We did not.
They
How
could
someone-
feel them.
Now, I must let you know, the name of our winery, the Wizard of Wines, was created as specifically a way to throw people off the scent of the three fays. Some believe this story, and again, they put a glance towards Stefania, that the three gems were not created by the Fanes, but were in fact created by a powerful wizard who, in his own concoctions, were able to make the grapes grow and make the wine special. We have encouraged this rumor specifically to make people believe that it is something magical, not tied to a artifact. If people had known that the artifacts existed, we would have had quite a few other people searching for it long beforehand to make their own grapes for wine.
Yes, but searching usually, especially if they're underground, usually means that people would have had to dig in multiple locations. The fact that you did not find any holes means that the people that took them could sense them.
Or they had a
Yes.
very
Understandable.
specific knowledge. There was never, to your knowledge, at any point in the Bochakov's history here at the winery that there was a ism and people left, other than your brother in Vallaki at the moment. So, like, splinter family off that might want revenge or something, or like.
No, not at all. The winery was originally owned by the Kreskov family, and then we married the Martikov family. The Kreskov family died out many, many, many generations ago, but they were the ones originally gifted the winery at that time by him.
It was likely some sort of powerful master or being that could sense them knew of their creation from long, long, long ago.
Yes. We suspect that if anyone was to know, we believe that he does not know, but
Possibly her.
she may know.
Yes.
She is almost as ancient as he is. Maybe even more so.
Okay.
And she was the one to steal the second gem 3 weeks ago.
Precisely.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be too hard. A quick detect magic spell probably would have revealed their locations, so...
You know what you're
I
looking
will-
for. There's a specialized spell that can locate objects.
So, I want to let you know what these gems look like, so if you do see them. There are 3 gems, each about the size of a pine cone. 1 green, 1 red, 1 yellow. The green was the one that was most recently stolen from the basement. The red is the one that was for the Dragon Crush. And the yellow was the one that was lost 10 years ago.
The green one being in the basement also perhaps could have been coincidental. If the forest folk were not here specifically for it, and they were simply looking at the basement and stumbled upon it, they could have taken it out knowing what it was. But we also can't rule out that they came specifically for it.
Why?
It's very possible.
You
It was
said
a very well hidden gem, but no one's been inside before, so it's very possible.
the green one you said was the most verdant or most natural, or was that the first one?
So the green one, well, so Elver would be the one that would be better for this. He studied them a lot more as far as their effects, but he was quite young when the first one was stolen. Elver, go ahead. And Elver would kind of lean forward and be like, the green one was very widespread, but wasn't quite as strong as the other gems. As you can see, the wine vineyards for the Champagne du La Stamp at the south end of the vineyard was a much smaller crop than the Dragon Crush or the Grape Smash number 9. Grape Smash number 9 was able to gather all of the nutrients from the green gem in a wide area, and we kind of use that to fill up the areas around the other gems. The red gem, the one for the Dragon Crush, was slightly more potent, but was kind of in the middle of the road for the wide range. Based on notes I've seen from the past, it appears that the Champagne du La Stamp only had a range of about 50 feet in each direction in a circle, but the grapes were very potent and grew in large bunches, so it made up for it. And could be harvested year-round.
So, the other thing that I just occurred to me, this could be off base, but these gems all relate to the land itself and nutrition, growth of crops and such. Forest folk, all twisted in ways, do seem to have some sort of links to natural magic in the land of almost, well, like the twisted form. You said that the blights and the forest folk have always attacked the winery for as long as you can remember, essentially. Do you know if they've ever really attacked other areas? Or has it mainly been the winery that has been their focus?
We've heard attacks on the road. They will attack people, having a along the Slalich Woods. They're pretty widespread throughout the Slalich Woods. So it's hard to say. This is the first concentrated attack that we've heard of.
Okay. I was wondering if it had always been them primarily attacking the winery, then perhaps that they've always been after that and maybe not even know what it was. But if they are more widespread, that makes it less likely.
Yes, it seems like some sort of recent event might have kicked this up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have said that you don't believe that the forest folk would ever work with this witch, but is there any sort of situation that might inspire them to do so? Is there any sort of threat to their sort of territory that might she might protect them from?
I have no idea, and I don't think that we could. The motivations of her are very vague. We are not sure what motivates her. We do believe that she is an ally of him, based on past events. And we know based on past events that the forest folk were routed by him when he came to this land. And they have no love for him. To my knowledge, I don't know what it was. They took some type of power away from them that typically they'd be able to utilize.
So, sorry, he took power away from the Needle Blight?
The forest folk.
The forest folk.
Yes.
Does Graves happen to remember how long we've been in Barovia? Arian does not, but...
Has it been about
that's
3
a
weeks?
Good question. I think it's been about a week and a half, 2 weeks.
A week and a half.
Yeah, so it was before we arrived.
Yeah, I'm going to be creating a calendar, but I have to go through all of our previous episodes to see when you guys have done long rest. Unless one of you guys have notes for when we did long rest and stuff and know how many days that have passed.
Not me.
He says go for it.
I keep
Every
notes,
other
but
campaign
not like
I'm
that.
in. Yeah.
Okay.
Not those guys.
Every other campaign I'm in, or like run, I have a calendar for it, keep track of it, but not
Yeah,
this one.
I made the foolish mistake of not having a calendar from day one, because that's what you need to do. Is like trying to reset it afterwards is difficult. But because I know you guys spent at least 1 or 2 days in Durst Manor alone.
Yeah.
Because you had at least one long rest in Durst Manor, and then a long rest afterwards in Barovia.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Being said, it is getting late. Adrian, looks around and he's like, "It has been a long day. We have not had time to sleep in our beds. We had the children set up a room for you guys to be able to sleep in if need be. And we'll look at leaving in the morning for Kresk or Valaki, whichever you decide. I'm sure you have a lot to talk about. If there's anything we can be of assistance with, we are at your service."
I could
And
use the
with
rest
that,
myself.
he dismisses you. You guys are able to find a comfortable room with 4 makeshift beds, as they were not aware that 2 of you do not sleep, and 1 of you is weird. I think only 1 of you has like normal human needs.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty much Herbert.
Yeah.
He's slowing down the whole party. The rest of you could just go.
I'm just the guy.
Especially
Just a simple
Graves
man.
looks perfectly normal, just maybe a little pale or whatever. But he's like, yeah, I don't breathe, sleep, eat, drink.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anything.
Konerith can't dream, but
Konerith still
He dream.
needs
He
to do all
just
the
can't be
things.
forced to dream.
oh, that's
It's a really specific racial rule that doesn't come into play.
Yeah, it's because your
I
spirit.
mean, the dream spell.
spirit that inhabits your body is from the realm of dreams, so
Yeah.
It basically just counteracts any forced dreams.
But other
But
than that, Conair's pretty normal. That and the telepathy.
yeah, that and the telepathy. Graves, you said you were looking for cleaning up or something like that.
I mean, he's probably bloody
No.
because he was knocked down multiple times. He's only 9 hit points still. He's mainly just super injured, but I mean, if you gotta press to digitate, he wouldn't say no. Does he know that he wears white?
Listen, I know some people don't prefer the prestidigitation, but I could heat up some water for you, and you could use
Either's
that.
fine. A nice hot bath is sometimes nice. We had one a couple of days ago as well, so. And I don't really feel the warmth of the heat quite as much as you would expect. It's more. The prestidigitate works just as fine for me. I don't really get any extra mental relaxation from the hot water.
Well, all right. Here we go.
Although I'm clean.
Prestidigitate you.
Excellent, thank you.
All the dust just pops off of you.
It was like we're in black and white, then black and red, and now he's back to black and white because the blood's gone.
Yep. Yeah, I like.
Yeah, he probably, because he's like not dead but also not alive, whatever, he probably doesn't really like notice like the nice heat and steam of a bath. So he's like, I mean, it makes me clean, but so does the prestidigitate.
Yeah.
Right. Is there any discussions happening before sleep?
I think there's a lot to digest here, and we need to be careful and everything. I think we're also extremely tired and exhausted from our efforts today.
That being said, one final lore dump opportunity for you guys. Do you guys examine the tome?
Oh, every night.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I say tonight we just be like, which way we're going? Cool. Let's discuss more tomorrow. Sleep, but also look at the tome.
For my own preparation, what are you guys planning on doing for location? Is it Craft decided upon or Velaki?
Brave said that, but he said that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Kreska's where we were headed initially. I think Herbert still really wants to go there because he's holding out hope that maybe the abbot can do something about Father Donovich's son. So, but also he's also getting a little jaded from our journey, a little bit. But he had to pick me up here because we just helped them.
Yeah.
But then there's also a huge another problem. So that's another.
There's also more possible sources of information as such that we haven't yet found. Because we go back to Velaki, we might not have found everything, but like we've already encountered a lot there and such. It's like we go to Crest, we might make new connections that might be able to help us with what we're currently looking at because we don't know of any in Velaki.
The only reason we want to go back to Velaki would be to tidy up a lot of our quests that had to do with the Wizard of Wines, which could be quite advantageous, but we could get information here, then go back and potentially get a lot of stuff that will be useful to us.
Like,
I mean, for how much everyone is willing to pay for the wine, and the fact that they're just giving us a lot of it, we could potentially get a lot of gear out of this.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely.
Silvered weapons. So.
Yeah. Free silvered weapons is always nice. I've already used all my things. But I would do like another prayer of healing just to heal everybody up probably at some point during the night, just to make sure we're all full HP when we go to bed. So I'm just gonna roll in D&D Beyond. You all heal for 19.
Hey.
Holy.
Nice.
Pretty good.
About 3/4 health now.
Okay. So, who is investigating the tome?
I can investigate the tome. I have a high investigation.
Yeah, roll me
bonus.
investigation.
Would you like some aid on that? Because
Absolutely.
actually I only have, that's one of my skills I don't have ranks in actually, or proficiency in.
Is anybody proficient? Other than
I
me?
still have a +1, but
In investigation?
Yeah.
I have a +1, but that's it. I'm a little bit smart.
I
Yeah.
am proficient in investigation, actually.
Wow. So you could help me,
I only
and it
get
would make
+3,
sense.
but I am proficient.
So you could give me the help action, and it would make sense because you've been studying it.
Yeah.
So that's a 19 total.
You got. I saw 23 on my
Yeah,
end.
19.
Oh wait. Oh, it was at advantage.
Yep.
Okay.
It's
So
19.
19. Okay.
I heal for 19. I rolled a 19.
Ha. Let's go back to 2019.
Yes, please. Although I don't want to go through
Yeah.
So,
the next
like,
5 years.
yes,
again.
and now.
You guys rolled one, and it actually is very poignant
Ooh,
for
nice.
everything going on. I was so close. She craved me, pleaded for me to stay. Yet I returned to see Tatiana's blood had stained the earth before I could have it all for myself. I will spare the people of Berez, but the leadership responsible will have my undivided attention. I am the land, and I will curse the river valley they so treacherously stewarded. And that's where we'll end tonight's session.
That's
Ooh.
Perez pissed him off for
They killed
he killed Tatiana. All right. It's great.
Wow.
That's
Man,
why
I was like reading it, I was like, oh wow, this is like
They ate his
right in
snack.
line with
we just
what
learned.
happened
Yeah.
tonight. So,
Right.
well, we thank you all for joining us. And again, for the love of crits, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Bye.